Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the podcast, and welcome to your AEW Dynamite Blood and Guts post-show, man. We got a lot to talk about today, man, as far as AEW Dynamite is concerned, but we're going to get started with the women's Blood and Guts matchup. The match itself, man, I thought was a really good match. Sky Blue was the first member of her team coming out to the ring, followed by Willow Nightingale being the first member of her team coming out to the ring to start this match. Willow and Sky Blue both exchange in the middle of the ring, with Willow setting Sky Blue into the cage. Sky Blue then is busted wide open. Julia Hart is the next entrant, followed by Harley Cameron, as well as Tekla. Tekla comes out to the ring. She quickly hits a spear on Harley Cameron in the middle of the ring. Tekla then hits Harley and Willow with a belt in the middle of the ring. Jamie Hayter is here. She's the next entrant into the match. Hayter then attacks Hart and Sky Blue with a kendo stick. Megan Bayne is the next entrant. Bayne then hits a Claymore kick out of nowhere on Jamie Hayter. Hayter and Bayne then both exchange in the middle of the ring, with Chris Statlander coming out to the ring as the next entrant. Chris Statlander and Megan Bayne both exchange in the middle of the ring. Mercedes Moné is the next entrant. Moné hits a Hurricanrana on Statlander in the middle of the ring. Moné then brings all her titles into the ring. She passes her titles to her team. Mina Shirakawa is here. She's the next entrant into the match. Mina hits a Hurricanrana on Moné in the middle of the ring. Mina and Moné then both exchange in the middle of the ring, with Marina Shafir coming out to the match. Statlander is busted wide open as well. Marina then kicks Chris. Chris then lands back first on a bed of nails that looked absolutely brutal. Toni Storm is the next entrant into the match. Toni then attacks everyone with pearls. Toni then has hands wrapped in glass, followed by Hayter hitting a powerbomb on Sky Blue onto a table. Moné then hits a moneymaker on Toni Storm in the middle of the ring. Harley then hits Moné with brass knuckles, pretty much laying out Moné. Julia Hart and Tekla then climb through the cage. Tekla then hits a spear on the referee. Julia then unlocks the cage. Tekla then hits a spear on Hayter and Harley on the outside. Statlander then hits a Samoan drop off the cage structure onto a table. It looked absolutely brutal. Toni Storm and Mina Shirakawa then hit a DDT on Marina on the glass. Marina then gets up, throws a mirror into Toni's face. The mirror pretty much shatters all over the middle of the ring. Mina then applies a figure four leg lock on Megan Bayne, but the hold is broken. The Triangle of Madness then hold Toni back, while Megan Bayne hits Mina with multiple times with the title. And then Toni Storm ends up saying that she gives up, she surrenders. And your winners of the match are the Triangle of Madness, Megan Bayne and Marina Shafir, as well as Mercedes Moné. Some interesting stuff there from the women's Blood and Guts matchup. Moving on from that, we have a Falls Count Anywhere matchup. It is Adam Page taking on Powerhouse Hobbs. I thought it was a good match, man. Back and forth matchup between Page and Hobbs, with Page and Hobbs both exchanging in the middle of the ring. Hobbs was trying to keep the pace of the match. Hobbs hits a power slam on Page for a near fall. Page then gets up, hits a moonsault off the railing to the outside, taking out Hobbs. Page then hits Hobbs with a trash can on the outside. Page then hits Hobbs with a boot, sending Hobbs over the balcony through a table, pretty much off the second balcony, landing through a table, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match is Adam Page. Page then goes back out to the ring, but he's quickly attacked by Shibata. Shibata attacks Page. Samoa Joe is here as well. Joe attacks Page with a chair shot, and then Samoa Joe has the cage lowered. And all of a sudden, Eddie Kingston and Hook come out to the ring. Page says if Joe wanted a cage match, all he had to do was ask. And then Page announces that it would be himself taking on Samoa Joe at Full Gear in a steel cage. Some interesting stuff there between Adam Page and Samoa Joe. Moving on from that, we have Tony Schiavone. Tony Schiavone's in the ring, grabs a microphone. He brings out Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Being that they're in Greensboro, North Carolina, there's a lot of history from Ricky the Dragon Steamboat in the North Carolina area. Steamboat comes out the ring. He talks about the history that he's had in North Carolina as far as what he's done in ring. But Steamboat and Schiavone are quickly interrupted by FTR. FTR come out to the ring. They pretty much mock Steamboat. And then all of a sudden, FTR then attack Ricky Steamboat, but Brodito come out to the ring, and Brodito ends up attacking FTR. Some interesting stuff there between FTR and Brodito. And then we go to the main event of the evening. It is the men's Blood and Guts matchup. I thought it was a really good match. Darby Allin is the first entrant for his team, followed by Wheeler Yuta being his first entrant for his team. Darby quickly hits a coffin drop off the side of the cage on Yuta. but Yuta hits a low blow on Darby Allin. Orange Cassidy is the next entrant into the match. Orange then attacks Yuta with a chain. After that, Daniel Garcia is the next entrant, followed by Mark Briscoe, but Briscoe doesn't show. Mark was shown backstage, I guess, attacked by the Don Callis family. Roderick Strong is here. He comes out to the ring, followed by Claudio Castagnoli. Claudio hits a giant swing on Darby Allin in the middle of the ring. Kyle O'Reilly is the next entrant into the match. Yuta hits a pile driver on Darby in the middle of the ring. Jon Moxley comes out to the ring. Moxley attacks O'Reilly and Roderick Strong with a fork. Moxley then attacks Darby with a fork as well. Don Callis family then, like I said, attacked Mark Briscoe. And Renee says that it will be 5-on-4. And that Briscoe was not cleared for this match. Garcia then hits a pile driver on Darby on broken glass. Darby then hits a coffin drop off the middle of the cage, taking out everyone. O'Reilly and Pac both exchange in the middle of the ring, but Mark Briscoe finally comes out to the ring. Mark then attacks the Death Riders, and then Mark climbs the top of the cage, followed by Wheeler Yuta following Briscoe to the top of the cage. Briscoe and Yuta both exchange on the top of the cage. Briscoe then brings up a chair on top of the cage. Briscoe then hits Yuta with a chair shot, but Yuta hits a low blow on Mark Briscoe. Yuta then hits Briscoe with a chair shot, but Briscoe gets up, hits a J Driller on Yuta on top of the cage. Gabe Kidd comes out of nowhere. He attacks Darby Allin. Moxley then staples Orange Cassidy's hands into his pockets. Gabe and Pac then both fight Darby Allin leading up to the ramp in the stage structure. Gabe Kidd then finds lighter fluid. He lights the table on fire. Pac then throws Darby off the stage structure onto the burning table. Moxley then is choking O'Reilly with the chain, but the hold is broken. Orange Cassidy hits an orange punch on Moxley, followed by another orange punch on Moxley as well. O'Reilly then applies an ankle lock on Moxley in the middle of the ring, but the hold is broken. O'Reilly then applies another ankle lock on Moxley. Moxley has to tap out, and your winners of the match are the Conglomeration and Darby Allin. Hats off to the Conglomeration and Darby Allin for getting the win in this matchup. A couple of things I want to talk about, man, when it pertains to AEW Dynamite's Blood and Guts. Did I think it was a good show? Yes, I did. I honestly, for what it's worth, this was probably, at no fault of their own, this was probably the best Dynamite episode we've seen in the past couple weeks, to be honest with you. We knew what we were going to get with the Blood and Guts match. Now, if I had to say which one was better out of the women's Blood and Guts match compared to the men's, I would have to give it to the women. I think the women's Blood and Guts match was really put together very well. I know there's some people out there that are not really happy with, the blood and guts that you see, I guess, or the blood that you see on, weekly episodic Dynamite episodes or PLEs. But look, man, this event was literally called Blood and Guts. I mean, what did you expect that was going to happen? There was going to be people in these matches that were going to bleed. Whether it's Sky Blue literally wearing the crimson mask, you saw Statlander busted wide open as well. I mean, hell, even the men's Blood and Guts match, I mean, majority of the people in that match were busted wide open. So it kind of comes with the territory. But with that being said, I think the women's Blood and Guts match was a lot better than the men's. I think it was more organized. It was put together a lot better than the men's. I feel like the men's was all over the place, which I'll talk about here in a second. But the women's Blood and Guts match was very well. And to be honest with you, I wasn't surprised. I mean, this was the first ever women's Blood and Guts match in AEW history. And I knew, just being a fan, that the women were going to take it over the top. And rightfully so. I think AEW, to be honest with you, has probably one of the best women's divisions on the planet. With that being said, was I shocked with the outcome of the match? No, I'm not. I mean, obviously you can tell the friendship there that's between Toni Storm and Mina Shirakawa, and Toni Storm ultimately giving up to save her friend Mina after Megan Bayne was pretty much beating the hell out of her with the title and hitting Mina with the title multiple times. And Toni Storm couldn't, she just couldn't take it anymore. She surrendered, which ultimately gave Megan Bayne's team the win. But at the same time, with this kind of match, with this kind of stipulation, I obviously have the Mercedes Moné in this matchup. You have also Chris Statlander in this match. You also have women a part of the tag team tournament going on right now, is also involved in this Blood and Guts match. So AEW and Tony Khan were kind of, I wouldn't say playing it safe, but at the same time, they really weren't playing it cautious either. I mean, my thing is what would have happened if, let's say, Moné got injured or Stat got injured, or Toni Storm or Mina Shirakawa or Willow got injured. I mean, it takes those women out of the tag team tournament. It takes, Moné out of the AEW World Title picture. because she's getting injured, or it takes away Monet's title opportunity if Statlander got injured in this match, where she might be unable to defend the AEW Women's title at Full Gear literally in a week. So, they're trying to, you're kind of playing devil's advocate. Obviously, you want to give the fans a really good match, but at the same time, injuries do hinder this company immensely. I mean, I made it abundantly clear now for the past few months. So it's like I said, it's playing, it's lighting the candles at both ends. You can have the likes of Statlander and Monet in this matchup, but you'll also take the risk of Monet and Statlander getting injured in this match and ultimately canceling the match that they would have at Full Gear. Or having injuries for the women's tag team tournament, which we've already had injuries in that tournament, from Queen Aminata to Penelope Ford. That's why Marina Shafir came in to be Megan Bain's tag team partner. So that tag team tournament's already suffered injuries as it is already. So, like I said, you're kind of burning the candles at both ends. But with that being said, I do believe that the women's Blood and Guts match was a lot better than the men's. Speaking of the men's Blood and Guts match, honestly, bro, there was a lot of things about it that I wasn't a big fan of, to be honest with you. The conglomeration, Orange Cassidy and Briscoe and stuff I don't really feel like they had a lot to do with the whole Death Rider situation. I feel like this really pertained to Darby Allin and Jon Moxley, in my opinion. Secondly, there was just so much goddamn confusion, especially with Mark Briscoe. You have Renee backstage checking on Mark Briscoe. Mark Briscoe looks injured. It looks like he was attacked by the Don Callis family. And she makes this announcement during the match that it's going to be now 5-on-4. And then literally, I think it's like 10 minutes later, here we see Mark Briscoe coming out like Cactus Jack with a chair in hand, coming out to the ring to finally start this match. I just thought it was kind of shitty, to be honest with you. And there was just so much confusion going on. They really didn't know what the hell to do with this matchup. Then we see Briscoe and Wheeler Yuta on top of the cage. Look, for me being a fan, and this might be far-fetched for a lot of you guys, but just hear me out. If you're in a Hell in a Cell element, or let's say a Blood and Guts matchup, I want to see something happen. We're expected to see something happen on the top of the cage if two superstars are on top of the cage. We want to see somebody thrown off. We don't want to see somebody injured or hurt, but we want to see something that's going to be like, holy shit. And we didn't get that at all with Yuta and Briscoe on top of the cage. I mean, Mark hit the J Driller on Yuta on the top of the cage, and seemingly they both just, left the top of the cage and just, climbed down off the top of the cage, and that was it. There was nobody thrown off the top of the cage. And there was a spot in this matchup where there was a table lined up in the front of the cage where the ramp was, and I thought for 1 second we might have seen Mark Briscoe maybe hit like a, froggy bow off the top of the cage, hit Daniel Garcia, and go through a table. I thought that was probably going to be the spot that they were going to set up here. And then we saw Yuta climb the cage and also attack Mark Briscoe, and ultimately that spot did not happen. But if you also look at it, I think it was O'Reilly applying an armbar submission on Garcia, I believe, on the floor on the ramp. And you can kind of see Kyle O'Reilly kind of look up at the top of the cage and see Mark Briscoe. So I don't know if they were really looking for that spot in that matchup, but that spot just did not work, in my opinion. But the way they had the camera angle set up, it looked like Mark was going to possibly have that spot where he might have hit a froggy bow off the top of the cage, hitting Daniel Garcia and putting him through a table. You know what I mean? To me, if you're going to be on top of the cage, we're anticipating some kind of spot where somebody's going to get thrown off that damn cage, or somebody's going through that cage. And we did not get that at all between Briscoe and Wheeler Yuta. The other thing that we also saw Gabe Kidd, I will say the spot that Darby Allin had, where he was thrown off the top of that stake structure from Pac, landing on that burning table, it looked absolutely brutal, man. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I said it before, I'll say it again. I'll be surprised if that guy's walking by 50. The amount of shit that Darby Allin puts his body through, bro, is absolutely fucking insane. It's insane. You know what I mean? Like, the shit that I've seen him do in the wrestling ring, bro, it's crazy. I'd be shocked if he's walking by 50. He just puts his body through so much shit through these matches, bro. It's absolutely insane. He literally uses his own body as a weapon. When he long darts himself out through the ropes, bro, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I've seen Darby Allin, hit a tope through the ropes and literally, hit head first into the barricade, almost knocking himself clean the hell out. So, I mean, he just doesn't care, bro. He doesn't. Darby's insane. He's a great wrestler. I think he's awesome. But Darby, he just doesn't give a damn, man. So I thought the Darby Allin spot with Pac, when Pac threw him off the stage structure, I thought that was a cool spot. It was brutal, man. It was a brutal spot. But, my thing is with this as well, too, bro. And I might be the only one on this ship by myself, and that's fine. Or the only person on this hill by myself, and that's fine. I don't really know where we go with the Death Riders from here, to be honest with you, bro. Obviously, I mean, if I had to predict something that was going to happen, I could see a possible another match here between Jon Moxley and Darby Allin possibly happening at Full Gear, to be honest. My issue with Jon Moxley and the Death Riders, man, honestly, this Death Rider shit with Jon Moxley, it has absolutely ran its course. This Death Rider shit has run this company into the fucking ground. I said it before, and I'll say it again. When Jon Moxley had lost the AEW World title finally to Adam Page, and Adam Page was successful in beating Moxley and becoming the new AEW World Champion, that should have been the clear indication that Jon Moxley and the Death Riders should have took some time off. Especially Jon Moxley. You know what I mean? People were tired of seeing Moxley on TV. We were tired of the Death Rider shit. Moxley should have took a couple months off. But no, he's back on Dynamite literally the week after he lost the belt. So I think a lot of people at this point are just getting tired of the Death Rider shit. And I think that's my biggest question coming out of the men's War Games matchup, or the men's Blood and Guts matchup, is where do we go from here with the Death Riders? Because at this point, I mean, what else is there really to do with the Death Riders, man? I mean, they've done everything up to this point, whether good or bad. There's nothing else left for them to do. There has to be, in some kind of way, that split. Somebody leaves the Death Riders. Honestly, I can see it being Wheeler Yuta being one of the first guys that ends up leaving the Death Riders. There needs to be separation from the Death Riders. It's run its course into the fucking ground, man. There's no excitement around the Death Riders anymore. Literally, when that music hits, bro, it sounds like literally the theme song of the death of AEW. Literally. People are just tired of seeing it, man. And it's not helping Jon Moxley at all. It's not. To be honest with you. I think, if anything, Moxley needs to go back to being a babyface. It's just not working, man. It's not. It's not. And like I said, I'm not going to sit here and say that the show was completely awful or bad, but there were certain things about last night's show that I just wasn't really too keen on, to be honest with you. One of the biggest ones was the FTR shit. Dude, FTR, I'm going to say this first and foremost, man. FTR is probably one of the best tag teams in the world today. At least in my generation. Or in today's day, I would say. Great tag team. But, bro, for a while now, man, FTR is starting to become absolutely cringe, bro. I'm sorry. I don't understand what was the whole deal with them attacking Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. I can understand why Steamboat was there. He's got a lot of history in the North Carolina, Greensboro area from when he was wrestling in his heyday. I get it. But FTR has this fixation and fascination about attacking legends, bro. We saw it with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat last night. We've seen it countless times with the Rock and Roll Express. It's bro, stop. Seriously, stop. FTR right now, every time they come on TV, bro, it's fucking cringy. And honestly, it's cringy. The Stokely Hathaway shit's not working. I mean, not for nothing with Stokely, bro, but there's still shit with Stokely that's still not to be answered. What happened between him and Chris Statlander? Why was there a falling out between him and Stokely? Or her and Stokely? Never got an answer, never got a rebuttal from that. You know what I mean? Stokely's trying to hang on to whatever he can to stay in AEW, man. To be honest. FTR, I mean, I just, especially after the fact that, we got the matchup with FTR and Copeland, well, with FTR attacking, Beth Copeland and shit like that and everything else, but we haven't even seen Copeland. I think Copeland's filming a TV show or a movie. We have not seen Christian Cage at all either. I think it was since All Out. So I don't know what's going on with Christian Cage either. But it's just, that was one thing that was just absolutely cringy. Why do we need this shit? What does Ricky the Dragon Steamboat have anything to do with the hype up for the matchup between FTR and Brodito for the AEW Tag Team titles? You know what I mean? You're using that as a cheap plug because it's Ricky the Dragon Steamboat to get excited for this damn tag team match in the tag team division, where I will remind you that is literally the drizzling shits. Nobody gives a fuck about the AEW tag team division because there is none tag team division. Honestly, who's in the AEW tag team division that you honestly give a shit about? You can't sit here and say that it's Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, because as of late, it's been Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, and MVP in matches against Ricochet and the Gates of Agony. And I've already made comments about Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley should be on the main event scene. They need another main eventer. Bobby Lashley is that guy. I even pitched the idea, if he was a free agent, to bring in the likes of Cedric Alexander to team up with Shelton Benjamin. Obviously, that's yet to happen, or that might not even happen at all. You know, Shelton Benjamin is another person that can win TNT title. He could be in the conversation for the international title. I know he's in the Casino Gauntlet match with Bobby Lashley to crown a new first ever AEW national champion. Okay, great. Lashley should be on the main event scene. There's no tag teams right now that are suitable enough to be like, oh, holy shit. What we got? FTR, Brodito, the Young Bucks. There's no what's suitable tag team? Where's Private Party, bro? Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn, where are they? You know what I mean? It's not like we have Penta and Phoenix anymore. It's not like we have Santana or Ortiz anymore. What tag team division do we have, bro? Seriously. We don't have a tag team division. Hell, there's not even a trios division. We got the Gun Club, okay. Well, I believe it's what, Colton Gunn that's out? So now we have Austin, Juice Robinson, and I forget the other guy's name, Ace Austin, in this new Bullet Club Gold trio? Okay. Injuries are hindering this company, bro. Where's Jay White? Injured. Adam Cole, injured. Keith Lee has been on the shelf for God knows how long. Wardlow came back, he's back on the shelf. Osprey's out. Swerve's out. Like, bro, Thunder Rosa's out. Like, what? It's crazy, bro. Britt Baker's taking time off. She's, doing whatever the hell she's doing. It's crazy. Injuries are definitely hindering this company, bro. 100%. Now, with that being said, like I said, was last night's show awful? No, it wasn't. But you also had to realize that it was AEW's blood and guts. I'm not sitting here saying that, it's going to be great again next week. No, we're probably going to get to the same old bullshit next week. Oh, we got the return of Kenny Omega. Holy shit, man. Mark your calendars down for that. You know what I'm saying, bro? Like, there's no excitement with this shit anymore. And here's the other thing, too. We get to last night's show, and I think it was roughly, 6,500 people? I think, roughly in the crowd, 6,700? In Greensboro, North Carolina. Didn't Sting have his retirement match in Greensboro, North Carolina? And it was 18,000 people or some shit like that? So that right there shows you how bad AEW has gotten from the time Sting was there to where we're at now. You know what I'm saying? Like, people need to wake up and smell the Folgers, bro. Seriously. And realizing that this company is going downhill. It's going downhill, folks. That's just the way it is. And I think once people start realizing it, it's going to be too late. Clearly, the shit that AEW has been doing is not working. And yes, there are people out there, I'm not a fan of the blood and the guts and all this, and I don't understand why they're doing that. Look, I get it. I'm not sitting here saying that we need to see this shit every single week. And roughly, we've been seeing it on and off, past few months. I'm not saying that, but bro, at the end of the day, for the people that don't like it or are upset with it, what else do we really have to really get excited for these matches, bro? Because clearly they're not telling story at all. Like, there's no story, even leading up to this year's Blood and Guts. What, honestly, story were you guys invested in to actually get excited for this year's Blood and Guts? There was none. There's no story. There's no intrigue with these matches. They're throwing these matches together. And I'm not sitting here saying, it's AEW, bro. Look at War Games for WWE. Am I super, super excited about it? No, because there's no legit story going into it. There's not. At least in my opinion. So we're also, and again, we're looking at Blood and Guts. Same thing. There's no real story that really intrigues you with the event. You know what I mean? FTR shit was cringy. I'm sorry. FTR shit was cringy, bro. They have this fascinations where they want to go up against these legends and clown the shit out of them. Whether it's Ricky the Dragon Steamboat or the Rock and Roll Express. It's just cringy, man. It's cringy. And what the hell does Ricky the Dragon Steamboat have anything to do with the AEW Tag Team Championships? He's got nothing to do with it. You guys brought in Ricky the Dragon Steamboat to get a cheap plug because you guys were in North Carolina. Because Steamboat used to wrestle for the Mid-Atlantic area in his heyday. He literally talked about it last night. He talked about Ric Flair and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, you're doing it to get a cheap pop from the crowd because you brought in Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. It's just, I don't know, bro. It's cringy, man. It honestly is cringy. With that being said, my hats go off, and again, congratulations to the women on the AEW roster. I thought they did a hell of a job last night in that Blood and Guts match. I know some people were not a fan of it because, of the blood and shit like that. But, bro, it's literally called Blood and Guts. You're going to get it in some kind of capacity in some way throughout the night. It's going to happen. I thought the women did an incredible job last night in the Blood and Guts match. I thought it was put together a little bit more better than the men's was. I feel like the men's was just all over the place. So, yeah, my hats go off to the women of the AEW locker room. I thought they did a fantastic job in the Blood and Guts match last night. First ever, to remind y'all, first ever women's Blood and Guts match. I thought they did a fantastic job out of the gate. So, who knows, we might see more women's Blood and Guts matches. I know there's also a rumor and speculation that Tony Khan is also entertaining the idea of a all-women's AEW pay-per-view, and we'll see how that plays out. But, we need some names back on the female roster to actually at least get me excited for that. I want to see Thunder Rosa. I would like to see Britt Baker back. We have not seen the likes of Shida. I know Rio is in the women's tag team tournament. I think she's teaming up with Alex Windsor, if I'm not mistaken. But Nyla Rose is out. Sheeta's out. Thunder Rosa's out. Britt Baker's not around either. Serena Deeb, I don't know what she's doing either. Camille, I don't even know if Camille's even employed with the company anymore. So they're missing some key names in AEW, for sure. On whether it's the men's side of the locker room or the women's side of the locker room, they're missing some significant names on AEW television, especially from the men's side of things. I mean, having Will Ospreay, Swerve, Adam Cole, Wardlow, Keith Lee, those names out, especially Ospreay and Swerve, it is hurting the company. MJF's filming a TV show or movie. He needs to come back. Copeland's filming a TV or movie or some kind of movie. I haven't seen him either since All Out as well. Even Christian Cage. So we're missing some key names in AEW. And that's why I said, with Tony Khan, I will give him credit where credit's due. You're rolling the dice, especially with the women's, Blood and Guts match. I mentioned this earlier. There's a lot of key names in this matchup. You got your AEW Women's Champion and your TBS Women's Champion in this match. And there was a very good chance that either Monet or Statlander could have been injured in this matchup, and this match that they would have had a full gear possibly would have been canceled. You also have women in the AEW Women's Tag Team Tournament that were also involved in this Blood and Guts match. If they got injured, it also could throw a curveball immensely in the Women's Tag Team Tournament as well. Like I mentioned earlier, man, there's already injuries from that Women's Tag Team Tournament. We had Penelope Ford. She got injured. She was replaced by Marina Shafir. Queen Amanada was also injured as well. So, there was a lot of shakeup from this tournament. You know what I mean? So, again, they were rolling the dice with this women's Blood and Guts match. But, like I said, with that being said, I think it was the best match of the night. Adam Page versus Powerhouse Hobbs. I don't think it was a bad match. I like the ending of the match. But my standpoint with Adam Page and Samoa Joe has been the same. There really isn't a story. Samoa Joe, I feel like right now he's a filler because MJF is out right now filming a movie or TV show, to be honest with you. And, before the whole steel cage shit was announced from Adam Page, I was like, bro, what else are they going to do to really, get fans invested in this match? Well, then we get the steel cage match now between Adam Page and Samoa Joe for the AEW World Heavyweight title. So, I don't know, man. Hopefully after this, I still have Adam Page going over in this match against Samoa Joe. I just don't see Page dropping the belt to Joe. And hopefully Joe, with all due respect to Samoa Joe, we don't see Joe in the world title picture for quite some time. It's no disrespect towards Samoa Joe. I think he's great. I really give a rat's ass about him being world champion again. I just don't. If anybody on the AEW roster right now that would, take away the AEW world title away from Adam Page and I'd be happy with would be MJF at this point. But I want MJF to come back as that heel prick that everybody knew of and who he was before the whole Adam Cole shit. And he comes back, pissed off, angry, and we get the old school MJF where he don't give a shit about nobody but that Triple B. And he gets that title back and he beats Adam Page for the AEW World title because that's what we need. There's no disrespect towards Adam Page. I think he's done a decent job with the AEW World title, but we need MJF as the world champion. That's just my opinion. I think he's one of the top guys in AEW, and I think he can probably bring a little bit more spotlight back to AEW if he was AEW World Champion. Whether you like the guy or you hate him, I think he needs to be AEW World Champion. Whether that's, World's End, I don't know. Hopefully he is back before World's End, but I feel like that's the match to make. He also has a contract that he can sign and to face Adam Page for the world title. Hopefully, if anything, we get that at this year's World's End, and MJF will beat Adam Page for the world title. But like I said, man, there was some good things that came out of last night. There were some things where I'm kind of like, you know what, I can give a rat's ass about. And like I said, bro, with the Death Rider situation, there needs to be change, man. Honestly. John Moxley and the whole Death Rider experiment, the shit's not working. It's just not. And some people can say, oh, well, maybe it's just not working for you. Bro, it's not. It's not working for a lot of people. It's also not helping AEW in the ratings. It's not getting fans excited about AEW's product. It's that whole feeling for the Death Riders, man, it's across the board from a lot of people. A lot of people. It's not just me. John Moxley should have took some significant time off after he lost the AEW World title to Adam Page. But he didn't. And now, at this point, even now, after what we got last night in Blood and Guts, what's left for the Death Riders to really do? To really sink their teeth into and actually get the fans invested in what the Death Riders are doing? Nothing. Nothing. There's no stable in AEW that's really intriguing enough to go up against the Death Riders, except for maybe the Hurt Syndicate, but there's 3 members of the Hurt Syndicate where you got John Moxley, Pac, Daniel Garcia, Claudio Castagnoli, Gabe Kidd, you know what I mean, Marina Shafir, where, like I said, Hurt Syndicate only have 3 members of the Hurt Syndicate. I know they're looking for more people, and I'm not completely against some kind of storyline here between the Hurt Syndicate and the Death Riders. No, I'm not at all. But that's still yet to be seen. And that's why I'm saying, what is really truly next for the Death Riders and John Moxley? Not much. And I would not be surprised if some way, somehow, they do run it back between John Moxley and Darby Allin at this year's Full Gear. There's not a lot of matches already announced for Full Gear. I think we got 2 so far. We also had the Casino Gauntlet match to crown the new AEW National Champion. But we have Adam Page and Samoa Joe in a steel cage, and we have Statlander versus Monet for the women's AEW title. So there's, 3 matches so far out of the 12 matches they usually, or 13 matches they give us on a standard pay-per-view for AEW. So there's a lot more matches to announce. And, we got like a week left, bro. So, we need to figure some shit out. Honestly. So, like I said, man, it wasn't a bad show. And my thing is you got to take the wins when you can. You know what I mean? Like, I know some people were disappointed with how the women's Blood and Guts match went or the men's Blood and Guts match went. But you got to take a win when you can with this company at this point, bro. Because obviously this company is not what it once was. 3-4 years ago. It's not. It's progressively gotten worse over time. So you got to take the small wins when you can. And I think last night was a win for AEW, because I can tell you right now, going into next week, it's going to be the same old song and dance for AEW. Yeah, we get the return of Kenny Omega. Whoa, awesome. You know what I mean? At this point, to me, Kenny Omega doesn't even look like he wants to fucking be there anymore. It looks like he wants to get the fuck out of AEW. So I'm not really super excited on the return of Kenny Omega. I'd be more excited for the return of Swerve or Will Ospreay, 2 guys that actually want to be in AEW. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. Hopefully, I'm praying, bro, to be honest with you, that going into 2026, there is that reset for AEW that they desperately need. Honestly. There's some free agents on the shelf. Hopefully, maybe they can bring them in, shake things up. I don't know, man, but they need to do something, man, if they want to survive. Mind you, also, that Warner Brothers Discovery is also looking to sell to another provider, whether it's Paramount or ESPN or Netflix. So we don't even know what is the livelihood of AEW going into 2026 if Warner Brothers Discovery does sell. Like, we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen to AEW. So, again, that's why I told you guys, like, if you're fans of AEW, you got to take the small wins when you can. Not everybody's going to agree with it. There's a lot of people that didn't agree with what Blood and Guts did last night. I didn't mind the women's Blood and Guts match. I thought it was great. I thought it was a great showcase from the women on the roster, and I thought it was something that, honestly, I thought that match was better than the men's Blood and Guts match, to be honest. But, you got to take the small wins when you can, bro, with this company, because if not, it's going to be the same old shit consistently week in and week out, where when people are watching this, you're just absolutely miserable or just shaking your head like, bro, what the fuck is this shit? You know what I mean? Like, why? Where's the storylines? Why are we not getting why are we getting all these loopholes in this story when the story it literally writes itself and we're not getting it? It's like Tony Khan and AEW just doesn't give a shit about it. And I feel like, call me crazy, but I feel like Tony Khan, ever since the Cody Rhodes shit and especially the CM Punk shit, bro, Tony Khan was like, the hell with the fans. I don't give a shit about the fans. It was like, well, I gave the fans what they wanted, and then it backfired in my face. And, he got all pissed off, and, he's like, the hell with us. That's kind of what it feels like, bro. And it shows. I mean, look at the ratings. Look at ticket sales, bro. Ticket sales, like, when I see that shit on Twitter, bro, and you get, like, the AEW tickets, and you see how many tickets they sold to these shows, bro, it's fucking laughable. It honestly is. You go from, like, All In selling, like, almost 20,000 seats, and then you go to, like, a bingo hall in South Philly with 960 people in the crowd. You can't even get 1,000 people in this bingo hall in South Philly. But we go from All In with almost 20,000 people. It's fucking crazy. It's crazy. And I've said this from the jump, and I'll say it now. The biggest thing that is saving AEW's ass right now is the fact that they have people that purchase pay-per-views. And the pay-per-view numbers are not entirely bad. But that's the only thing that's saving AEW. That's their fallen grace right there, is the AEW pay-per-views. That's it. That's it. If we didn't have decent pay-per-views, bro, there would be no AEW. Honestly. That's one of the main things that's keeping this company afloat right now, is the pay-per-views that they put on. Once a month. Seemingly once a month. That's it, bro. Ticket sales are down, ratings are down, merch sales are down. Like, that's just the honest truth of it. You know what I mean? I'm just going to keep it a buck with y'all, man. If it wasn't for the AEW pay-per-views and if they weren't halfway decent, it would cripple this company. And right now, it's kind of one of those things where they're like, it's in a flux right now, because you have two of your top stars of the company out. I mean, these are the two household names for this company. You got Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay. And with both those guys seemingly being injured at the same time, it has hurt this company, bro. And unfortunately, because Tony Khan cannot build younger stars, it shows how bad this company is hurting right now. They're trying to throw something against the wall and hoping something would stick for a good idea as far as booking AEW Dynamite or Collision or pay-per-view. Because they're running out of fucking options, man. Like, I'm sorry. It's the truth. I mean, look at the reason why we're getting Adam Page and Samoa Joe and they're running it back. The reason why they're running it back is because there's literally nobody else to challenge Adam Page right now. I made comments about Mark Briscoe. Briscoe beat MJF in the Tables and Tax match. Why didn't we run it with Briscoe and Page? No, instead we got Samoa Joe versus Page. MJF has that contract. But he took time off. He's filming a movie or filming a TV show. So that match hasn't happened yet. Hopefully we get something like that for World's End in December. But again, bro, Strickland's out, Ospreay out. Those are two top guys of the company. And a lot of the reasons why people tune into AEW is because of the likes of Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay. They're household names for AEW. Those are your two workhorses for this company. And they're out. They're sidelined right now. And we don't know when the hell we're going to see Will Ospreay. You know what I mean? He had major neck surgery. So we don't know when we're going to see Will Ospreay. Hopefully sometime next year. Because they need him. Swerve Strickland, hopefully we see him soon because we need him. Absolutely. I'd rather see Adam Page and Swerve Strickland run it back than Samoa Joe and Adam Page. Hands down. You know why? Because every time Swerve and Adam Page get in the ring with each other, it's a barn burner match, man. It's a 5-star classic. Every fucking time. It's not taking anything away from Samoa Joe. I think he's a great wrestler. I think at times he's severely underrated. I just don't want to see Samoa Joe on a personal level win the AEW World title. I don't give a shit about that. I just don't. You look at the likes of other free agents that are out there or testing free agency, like Chris Jericho. I'm going to tell y'all right now, bro, from the comments that Chris Jericho made on his podcast, stating that TNA is the second biggest company in all of wrestling in the world, it's a slap in the face to AEW. And I can tell you right now, because of those comments, Jericho is WWE bound, bro. He is leaving AEW after December, and he will be at the Royal Rumble in January for WWE, and that's where he makes his return. Jericho's gone, bro. He's honestly, for what it's worth, am I mad about it? No, I'm not, because one, there's nothing left for Jericho to do in AEW. He's done it all, literally, in AEW. But again, this is also, whether you like the guy or not, this is also a big name from AEW that is leaving this company. Jericho was a day one guy, bro. He was there at the press conference when they announced AEW television in Jacksonville. He was there. He was a big time name for them. And honestly, I think without Jericho, they might have not, maybe not even got on TBS or TNT. Jericho was a big time deal for them. So now with the likes of Chris Jericho possibly on his way back to WWE, Britt Baker might be also gone as well. I mean, they're losing key names from this company. And that's why, like I said, bro, we don't know how long AEW really, truly is going to stick around. Honestly, because they're losing household names, bro. They really, really are. They're not capitalizing on the talent they have now, or at least the day one people like Darby Allin. Darby Allin should have been at least AEW World Champion by now, bro. I'm sorry. Absolutely. I stand on business with that. Darby Allin is immensely over. Darby Allin should have been AEW World Champion at one time in this company's existence, in my honest opinion. MJF should have been multi-time AEW World Champion at this point. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Orange Cassidy. Day one guys, bro. So it's one of those things where I feel like eventually that's going to bite them in the ass, to be honest with you. Because they can't build future stars, bro. It's like you brought on all these other WWE guys, and you were like, the hell with the day one guys that have been here, pretty much busting their ass. It's day one. And to be honest with you, I'd be a talent too that'd be a little pissed off too. Like, you bring this guy in, I've been here since day one, man, trying to build this company up with you and make this company what it is today. And it's like, you don't give a shit about us. Would you bring in this other WWE talent, somebody that's in their 40s or 50s that are already established, and want to make them automatically AEW World Champion? Or put them in the main event scene when I've been here since day one for the past 5 years. Or 6 years. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. It really is. But like I said, man, you with this company, at all the shit that I've learned so far in the past couple of years watching AEW's product, and I've watched AEW's product since day one. Only thing I can tell you guys, man, as a fan, just some advice. And not saying that you guys ain't doing this now, but for example, like last night, you got to take those small wins when you can with this company, bro. Because if not, you're going to be miserable watching this product every single week in and week out. When you find that small win, bro, yeah, you're going to take it and you're going to ride with it and be happy with it. Because at the end of the day, when's the last time that you can honestly say genuinely that you were excited with AEW's product as of late? It's been a while, bro. For me personally, the last time that I was genuinely excited for AEW's product was probably Sting's retirement tour, man. And the MJF, Adam Cole back and forth, saga that they were doing. The Devil in the Mask shit and all this other shit. That was the last time that I was genuinely excited for AEW's product, was Sting's retirement tour, his retirement match, which I thought was put together very well, and the Adam Page and Adam Cole and MJF storyline. That was it. That was the last time I was genuinely excited about this company, man. And that's been a while ago, bro. So, I mean, again, it's like, we need something. Why? I don't understand why this company just can't go back to having a little bit of fun. Have some fun, man. Get excited. You know what I mean? Create captivating storylines. Get us excited. You get the fans excited and make captivating storylines, they're going to be not only invested in this product, but they're also going to be invested to want to invest their hard-working money into purchasing your pay-per-views to watch from AEW. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta give back a little bit, bro. It's a give and take, honestly. Because without the fans, there is no AEW. And that's a fact. You know what I mean? You gotta give us something to hold on to, bro. Like a storyline, something intriguing, something that actually gets us captivated to watch AEW Dynamite or Collision on a weekly basis, week in and week out. And honestly, as for me as a fan, I can't sit here and say that I've been like, holy shit, watching Dynamite or Collision for the past few weeks. I can't say that. I can't honestly say that for the past couple of years with AEW because it's been the same shit, rinse and repeat. No storylines, nothing to really get captivated from. It's just bland, bro. That's it. There's nothing really to get intrigued about, honestly. I mean, look, the Jon Moxley and Darby Allin segment that they had when Moxley and Darby Allin were talking through that plain glass window, that was probably one of the best storylines I've seen or best moments I've seen in AEW for quite some time. Which is crazy, because it wasn't like it was a whole 30-minute like segment there between Moxley and Jon Moxley. Or Jon Moxley between Darby Allin. It was like 15 minutes, it felt like, or 20 minutes maybe. And that was it. Out of the 6 years of AEW, bro, it's like, We get that little back and forth banter between Jon Moxley and Darby Allin in that segment leading us up to their matchup in that I Quit match. And that was the best thing we've gotten from AEW's television up to this point. It's like, come on, bro. Like, you guys can do better. I just feel like AEW and the powers that be there are just getting fucking lazy. Like, they just don't give a shit no more, man. They just don't. What you see is what you get. And that's why I'm telling you guys, bro, when you see some shit like you saw last night with the AEW Blood and Guts show, you got to take those small wins when you can and just ride off the sunset with it, man. Because how many moments are you really going to get like that? Or get excited about? You know what I'm saying? Because it's not like AEW is going to do it every single week, week in and week out, even their pay-per-views. So, you got to take the small wins when you can, bro. But like I said, last night wasn't terrible. I would say for me, the match of the night was honestly the women's Blood and Guts match, man. I think they did a very good job with that match, and especially how they put it together, man. I thought that was the match of the night for me. So, again, that's, I guess, the small win that I can take from AEW's Blood and Guts from last night. But with that being said, though, this is my review of AEW's Blood and Guts. I hope you guys are out there staying safe, be careful, and remember, stay classic. Peace.